All right, let's introduce you to Cooper Road Mini's newest project. This is our new friend Mike from down in Sacramento. He bought this car from a gentleman back east, and it turns out that I built this engine some 8 or 10 years ago. So he looked me up. It's got one little glitch in that second gear, like a lot of these, is taking a beating, and it crunches into second both directions. So we're going to tear it down and resolve the issue by the synchro on second gear like they typically do. But let's take it for a test drive ahead of time. It's very impressive. This has a Weber 45 DCOE setup, the GT6 or 7 head. Let's get it going and we'll show a little bit about how it runs now. It's got a few glitches. The throttle sticks a little bit, but we'll just pay attention and keep the revs under control. This feels a lot different than our Cooper Road Mini because it's got the stock steering column and this kind of interesting steering wheel. I don't dislike it, but I'm so used to being able to put the steering wheel down where I like it. Not be sitting like I got my knees up in the air in this thing because I'm so far up. But this is a very authentic feeling 60s Mini Cooper. This particular one is a 67 Mini Cooper S.
Original interior in the back.
It's got the gold brocade seats in front, which was an S feature. It has all of the correct S features, although we don't know for sure, like a lot of these, if it started out life as an S. But we always feel like, what does it matter? When they're built well, they've got all the right parts, and they all function so nice. I suppose there's the originality issue, if it's really got the value, so on and so forth. It would take as much money to build. Ah, there's the crunch. That's so impressive for such a... This thing's been doing this for years. It's got so much nice power. This has very tall gears. This might turn out to be a 2.95 final drive because it's got a very relaxed RPM. Not at all high revving when you're coasting along the way our car does. Our car has very high revs because it's got very low gears.
The fumes are bad.
Yeah, the carburetor is right behind the speedometer on this one. It's the 45 and it's got just 2 little screens over the velocity stacks. Literally, you can touch it with your finger past the speedometer. So we're smelling the fumes and the intake's right there.
It's giving me a headache.
Sure is. Long-winded for a Mini. It holds a gear for a long time and pulls and pulls. And here's where we go. Second, third works nicely, but as we drop our RPMs on the hill, watch what happens when we go into second. Yeah. Once it's there, the power is fantastic, and it holds the gear, but getting it into the gear is a synchro issue. Like a lot of these, it's just chewed it off. Wow. We've got torque to pull in third from below 3,000. Grab that second gear without crunching and see if there's a trick we can use here. I'm try to use a synchro from another gear and see if I can do it. I'm going to try to use first gears, which is going to be tricky. But we want second. That was a little better. So what we did was we put a little bit of pressure on the first gear synchro to help us bring the shaft to the second, but we're going to use it. Aha!
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You can see there are some tricks you can use if you've got a bad synchro like this, but it's not the way you're going to want to drive the car. And in this case, this lovely little car is for sale. And of course, if I'm taking a test drive and I can't get second gear without a crunch, I'm concerned. And that's why we're going to go into this and fix it. But there are a few tricks. If you have one of these, you don't have to tear it down right away. You can get around it. There's, boy, it won't do it. But if we use first, see how that did it quietly? We're not going to go into first at that speed, but we're going to use the first gear synchro to slow the shaft down to let us grab second without a crunch. Obviously, you can't shift like that when you're driving in traffic or flying up a hill, but you can do a few things to help the synchro, to help it survive if you've got a bad synchro like we do here. Let's turn this around and go home before these fumes knock us out. If it was our car, we'd make a, we can get second very nicely. If it was our car, in fact, I'm going to look into making a plate to isolate the carburetor from the interior. Because right now we're competing for air with the carburetor. This is our sticky throttle.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
That sounded much better.